but it was an article from the New York Post, right? And the title of the article was "Stocks are soaring, but most Black people are missing out." And it says Americans who own stocks are pulling further away from those who don't, as Wall Street roars back to record highs, while much of the economy struggles. And Black households are much more likely to be in that not as fortunate group that isn't in the stock market. Only 33.5% of Black households own stocks in 2019, according to data released recently by the Federal Reserve. Among white households, the ownership rate is nearly 61%. Hispanic and other minority households also are less likely than white families to own stock. Um, so the article goes and breaks down stock ownership and looks at it and compares to race. And we are at the bottom of that food chain, so to speak. So um, real quick, I see Jalil's question: should you invest now, man? It's so yo, hit us up offline because that's not a simple answer. But getting back to this topic though, Core, the topic and the fact of the matter is that most of us do not own stock. Now, I do want to bring up a couple things before I let you, get in your bag and go in on people. A lot of it is systemic. I would say majority of it is systemic. So we've been held out of positions of power and real equity in this country, so we don't have the capital to invest in the market. Those of us that do and don't, that's where the problem lies, and that's where we have work to do. Because you talk to people just like I do on a daily basis, and every week I talk to someone who just isn't involved, and they tell me because it's a scam, or I'm better off gambling. Or sometimes they'll listen, and then after you explain how it works and what's going on, they say, "Why didn't you been tell me about this?" And I'm like, "I did 20 years ago." So those are the folks that we have to touch, but we also need to talk about overall um, why this is an issue with our community. And in my personal opinion, and then I'll give you the floor, I'll just say it's because we've been dealing with trying to survive on a day-to-day basis. So we haven't been able to make the long-term plans or invest in anything for the long term because in the words of the prophet DMX, man, yo, shorty can't eat no books, man. That was a profound statement, although in that context it was kind of crazy when he said it. But when you really think about it, that's how I look at our community. Yo, shorty can't eat no books. So, should have called this episode Shorty Can't Eat No Books. But nonetheless, that's kind of like where we are as a people because we've been locked out of so many places and missed out on so much capital, so much power, so much equity. We don't have any of those things. So that's one of the reasons why. So I'll give you the floor now, Core, and give your opinion on this article and also what you think about this problem overall.
They ain't had to do no survey, right? We at the bottom of the food chain when it's anything that come to money, because we weren't allowed for so many years to get in the game, right? So they could have did away with the survey. I could have told you we was on the bottom of anything that has to do with money. But the thing about it is because people don't change as fast as technology changes, right? So back, I'm going to say about 15, 20 years ago, you had to buy lots. And lots mean you had to buy stock in 100 share blocks, right? So if you wanted a stock, let's say a stock that costs $100, you had to put, $10,000 down to get in the game. You couldn't buy singular stock. Now in 2020, you can buy stock for $1. You can go on Cash App and buy stock for $1. So that number should rise, right? Because people should be able to see the power in investing, right? And now we got all kinds of things and all kinds of people that's giving us information, right? So you got Twitter, you got a whole section of Black Twitter that don't do nothing but talk about how to go and grab a bag, right? And you got YouTubers and bloggers, and you got community organizations like we started out as that really get into the city and get to the people and let them know the ins and outs and the importance of investing. So what happened in the last 20 years shouldn't happen in the next 20 years. And then we see on our show that the young people is really riding around and getting it. Well, we got to get them involved in every space where money is being made. And the stock market has created more billionaires than anything in the history of the world. the real estate has created more millionaires. The stock market creates billionaires. And so when you want to go from, we had a show topic talking about black billionaires. And the way to become a black billionaire is to solve problems or to buy businesses that do solve problems. And that's when you buy into the stock market, that's what you're buying. You're buying businesses that solve problems on a high level. And so when you got to get involved in the game, you cannot be out here and talking about, you know, building something and building legacy and thinking outside your time span and doing all of these other things and not be involved in the game. You have to be involved in the games that make money. And the stock market creates billionaires. And, because Jay-Z was a millionaire from making music, he didn't become a billionaire until he got involved in the stock market. Same thing with Beyonce, same thing with Rihanna, same thing with all, when you create businesses, that's when you know, that's when you take the next step. And when you buy businesses, that's when you can secure legacy for your family. Every time you buy something on the stock market, you're buying a business that that's solving a problem. And the way you can build your family legacy, you can let those smart people build those businesses, and you can just take a piece of it. So at this point, we got to get involved. There's no secondary there's no reason. The barrier to entry has been broken down to where you can just get in. Now it's about consistency and putting your money in great companies and companies that'll be around when your children are around and being able to secure the legacy of your family. So, you know what I mean? It wasn't a surprise. It wasn't a shock. The numbers don't shock me because of, like you said, they got 150-year head start where we couldn't even get involved in the game. You know what I mean? We had to have a proxy to get involved in the game back, some years ago. And now, it went from having a proxy to having to buy big lots, and then now you could just get in. You know what I mean? The only way black people was involved in the stock market was through their 401ks and stuff like that. Now you don't have to go that route. If you have a 401k, I'm definitely not shitting on no 401ks and none of that. But what I'm saying is if you wanted to take control of your destiny, you can. And so go ahead and do that.